All right, everyone. There was a GOP congresswoman who the other day she came out and she was talking about stupid shit, doing the moralist shuffle, which happens every election season among GOP individuals. Don't think that it's just the Democrats that say the darndest things. No, the Republicans. You remember Murdoch there with his legitimate rape comments? I think that was 2012 or 2014. There are some real fucking real winners among the GOP. Diane Black came out and talking about the problem of violence or crimes and started blaming pornography for it without actually telling you what kind of porn she thought was causing violence. Now, this is straight up nonsense. It's the same as when they try to blame video games. Violent video games, if anything, probably reduce violence at least slightly. Because a person who's like, maybe they're high-strung, maybe they do fantasize about violence, it's not that they're obsessing over it by playing the video game. It's that they're releasing that tension a little bit. They're going to be obsessing over it anyway. There's nothing you can do about the fact that they're thinking about strangling their coworker or whatever. But you can give them something that's a stand-in, so hopefully they decompress just enough to shy away from actual acts of violence, which is why they want to reduce free speech online. I think that is the biggest determining factor in the massive reduction in violent crime we've had in many parts of the world over the last 20 years. Recently that's being reversed by other factors, especially within Europe. Here we're at a near 50-year low in gun crime and violent crime. People think we've got a crime epidemic. No, only in a few metro areas where things are blighted by gangs. Essentially, that's where you find it. And then occasionally you're going to get a psychopath. Well, you should let them speak out, give them total free speech whenever possible. That way, hopefully, they out themselves as a violent individual and you don't have to deal with them actually after they've actually killed people. But Diane Black is completely wrong. No, pornography does not cause violence. Video games do not cause violence. Heavy metal does not cause violence. Rap music does not cause violence. What causes violence? Violent people. Criminals and people with, who are nuts, basically. And there's a big difference. A lot of people talk about, like, mental illness. There's a big difference between someone with mild depression or seasonal affective or something like that and someone who's totally off-the-wall fucking psychopathic. Big difference between the two. When you simply use the blanket term mental illness, you're lumping in millions of law-abiding citizens with people who are psychopaths and, might go on a spree at some point. I'm very uncomfortable with that, especially in the context of gun control, because I see them trying to use that as a standard for removing guns from people. Okay, so in other words, every other ADHD Ritalin kid can't have a gun? What about women, after their pregnancy? What about people up here during the coldest part of the year with seasonal affective? I have that. Definitely feel depressed during the winter months. You would too if you lived in this climate, trust me. Oh, let me look out the window. It's such a lovely day. It's 10 degrees. Wow, I actually saw the sun yesterday for 2 minutes. That's basically what it's like here 3 months out of the year. Trust me, you'd be depressed too. Yeah, and then the summer's great. Winter, not so much. So are you going to disarm people every winter up here in Vermont? Are you going to say, well, unless you are taking your weekly artificial sun treatment, you can't have your pea shooter or whatever, and will devolve into the UK being, filled with stupid laws, basically. Now, the GOP has a history of doing this. They make these dumb moral statements about things that clearly the people talking do not understand fully. Oh goodness, Twisted Sister is going to cause so many problems. Ozzy Osbourne's going to cause violence. Grand Theft Auto. You remember when Grand Theft Auto, especially around the time of Vice City, was just a total boogeyman. They were blaming it for everything. Oh, little Jimmy, he did something wrong. It must have been the GTA he plays all day. Now, I played Grand Theft Auto for hours almost every day after school for, about 3 years of high school before moving on maybe to other games. No, I never did anything violent. Yeah, it was funny because it was, which one was it? Bill Crystal or one of these other neocons there was also saying, like, if this kid is into angry music and violent video games and, is like a loner, they might become a school shooter. And I'm like, okay, that resembles me quite a bit, and I never did anything. No, people who wear suits and ties, especially from the boomer generation, tend to get it wrong on that one. And then you have Diane Black. She's getting it wrong, too. The GOP really needs to do something in order to make sure that its candidates and representatives stop coming out with stupid statements. The Democrats need to do this too. But then again, they can't really do that effectively. A lot of they're undergoing a schism, so the progressive candidates are going to say off-the-wall shit financially, and socially, there's nothing that Tom Perez is going to be able to tell them to stop them. As far as the GOP goes, though, right now you're inching upwards. As we approach the midterms, you'll probably supplant the Democrats. There won't be a blue wave at this point. They're not going to retake the Senate. But every time something like this happens, you run the risk of, in a really, really close race, those dozen voters decided to switch because of something that they saw on the internet. Diane Black blaming porn for violence, which is bullshit. It's straight up bullshit. How does that have anything to do with violence? Do you mean violence against women in the porn industry? Yeah, possibly. Okay, but I mean, if little Jimmy sees boobies, I don't think that that's going to cause him to become an axe murderer. I just don't think that that's likely. You can stop worrying. This is all soccer mom stuff too, because this is like what the bored suburban housewives club or the pearl clutchers, the moral church lady gossipers, the temperance era sort of people. This is what they ruminate on all the time. Something in society is the problem for all of our problems. It's the problem of problems. And if we just get rid of it, if we just had common sense reform regarding it, then we wouldn't have these other problems. They tried this. Masturbation was one of those. They used to have literal genital harnesses for their kids. Circumcision only became common in the U.S. because it was prescribed by eugenicists to stop this, which it doesn't, but that was what they thought. Alcohol, tobacco, opiates, which oddly enough they were close to the mark on that. They just got the methodology wrong. Marijuana, any form of drug, violent video games, whatever kind of music happens to be new. This swing music is leading us down the path of devilry. This jazz music, ragtime, oh my God. Elvis Presley, he's really out there. Look, he's showing his hips and he's moving them around. He's not just standing there like a fucking stone while he's singing. He's actually having a good time and dancing. This is going to make our daughters promiscuous. Oh, your daughter had a child out of wedlock? Shame, shame, shame. Christian Housewives Association. It must have been Elvis Presley. We've got to burn the Beatles albums because John Lennon said something unkind about Jesus Christ once. It's the same bullshit. And they have it for this generation too. Now it's largely internet related. It's extremism on YouTube. Porn is available on the internet. Violent video games. Look at how realistic they are. Again, if you go back 20 years to the stuff that people thought was kind of realism at the time, and you gauge it based on how video games look now, there's no comparison. 20 years from now, the tech will be even more advanced, and even stuff that's really advanced right now that does look, it's beginning to approach realism. It won't look anything like realism in 20 years. You'll look back on it like the Stone Age, like how we would look at like Star Fox 64. A great game, great graphics at its time. Are they advanced truly on an objective scale? No. But it was a violent game. You're firing on other aircraft. Oh my God, Super Mario stomps on turtles. True 3D, oh my God. Legend of Zelda. Shit, Link is killing things with a sword and a bow. Oh my God, this is going to cause Jimmy to go out and start slashing his schoolmates. Never did, never will. Porn is the same thing. That's about all. Peace out.